beginning of the year. And at the beginning of the year, what were your hopes for 2023? What was on your radar at the beginning of the year? And go ahead and write that down for what was on your radar, your focus, your hopes, your dreams when you started off 2023. And you can either pop in as you're writing them, but I'd love to hear some of what's showing up for you when you think back to the beginning of the year. Does anybody have something they'd like to share?
Well, I'll share. My word was and is still resurrection. And I believe I keep returning to alignment with that. And then something that I really kind of wanted to focus on was a deeper understanding of financial literacy and just ways we've been conditioned around our finances.
Love it. Good stuff. So you had pretty in tune focus. Resurrecting your finances, your beliefs about finances. Ooh, I like that altogether. Okay, good. Anybody else?
Well, I was very clear at the beginning of this last year that I was closing my business and that I was going to be working to have more time and choosing to explore what's next. And that's where I'm at. I'm still exploring, but ready to move.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, good. I'd encourage you, Carol, and Beth, you too, write down some of the things, and we'll do a little more reflection, but what are some of the things that you've already done to support you in exploring or in learning about the financial literacy? What are some things you've already done? And how are you using those focus areas so far this year? Anybody else have a focus area? Something they want to share?
Well, as Beth shared, I turned to my journal page that I had some intentions set of tracking my financial success for the year. And I have it like my goals and stuff laid out in here, and there's nothing filled out on it. So I, set the intention at the beginning of the year, like, oh, I want to pay attention to my finances and give it energy and track my success. I put the positive intent into it, but I obviously didn't set up ways to support myself and making sure I, developed the habit of doing it, because it's something I don't look at currently. And obviously I wanted to at the beginning of the year, and I still haven't put things in motion to support me in getting closer to that goal. So that's an awareness I'm having right now.
Yeah, I love it. And this is why we reflect back and look, not because we want to beat ourselves up about not doing something about it, but it's a great opportunity to say, is that still important to me? And what about that is important to me? And if I haven't taken a step, what are some ideas for new steps? Good stuff. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else want to share where they started the year?
I think it's funny. I don't even remember what my word of the year is. Mm.
Ah,
Like I can think of words from the past that I've chosen, but I can't remember what I picked for this year. And then the 4 things that I wrote down are things that some of them are things that I don't even have control over. So, so I wrote down what I do. I went back after what Beck said. I went back and I wrote down what I could be doing. Well, actually, from what you said of talking to Carolyn and Beth about writing down what they have done. But I wrote down what I could be doing or what would give me those things that I have control over instead of just, the blanket thing of what I want. But what would be the goal? What would be the actionable thing for me to do to achieve the things that I want?
okay. Yeah, I love that. What I'm hearing is you may have had some lag indicators. These are the outcomes or the results you hope you will get, but you really can't control those. And so what you're doing is thinking about what are some lead indicators that will help you get there. Lead are the steps you take that you can measure, a step that you do have control over. So here's a step I can take. And when I take that step, it's helping me to get to an outcome.
Yeah. And also it's now something that I can give myself credit for. So like one of my things is more clients. Well, I don't necessarily have more clients, but I have been inviting more. So that's
Uh,
something I can say that I've done.
yeah.
And specific clients of like starting one-on-one clients. I don't have any currently, but I have been putting it out there that I want one-on-one clients. So,
Mhm.
so I am doing things. And then I put make more money, which I don't know if I've really done, but I put spend less, and I definitely have done that because I've cut back and I'm not in any classes right now. So that's a great deal less money than I spent last year. Mm.
Ah,
So, and then the 4th thing was do more videos. So that was something that I could do.
okay.
So I didn't have to add anything to that.
Love it. Ooh, got some good things moving there, Foxy. Love it. All right. Anybody else as you reflect back on the first part of your year, 2023? 2023, it's going to be the year I do what?
Well, I'll give a positive one since like I went to the more of a lax side right away about the money, but that just came to my awareness in the moment. But one that we've talked about a couple times in the planning sessions that I was like, getting it done, was that my website is complete. That was a huge one. So 2 years in the making and it's complete. So that just happened in the last month. So celebrating that one for sure.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. That's great. I love that you're leading us into that, Becky, because that is one of the things I want you to do right now is to write down all of your wins from the first quarter that you can recall. And so I'm going to stop the recording and give you about 5 minutes to just try this for the month of April, now that we're in Productivity Day, or any time frame you choose. We always start every action hour with a celebration. You know how you write gratitudes? Well, take a journal and write every celebration you give in every action hour and bring that to your next planning on purpose meeting. Because that's a reminder. Those are all wins. Anytime you're celebrating something, that's a win. And it's a reminder of what's keeping your momentum moving. So start a log of celebrations. Kelly, I think sometimes you call, there's acknowledgements, right? Like just acknowledge the steps you're taking. Bring your list of acknowledgements.
Nancy froze. It's a good point for me to let you guys know that, you know, the one-liner in the planning pages, even use that to just put your win, or at the bottom of the daily planning section in the journal pages, you know, there is a victory, an improvement in a plan. Stick a victory in there and focus on what that is specifically to bring to your planning, what your intention is for your month. You know, where is the win in what you did today that is moving you toward your intentions, or you know, because we're practicing receiving it. It's already here, right? We're believing that our intentions are here and good, and that we're working on receiving them at this point. So what's your victory each day? And write that down.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'll be leading in May for the planning session. Nancy's going to be in the mountains. So you bring your wins next month to me, and we're gonna celebrate for the planning session, right, Nancy?
Ooh, perfect setup. Yay. I love it. I'm going to have to watch that recording.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Am I back now? Because I didn't know I
You're
was
back.
missing.
You're back.
Okay, good. So now, as a kind of a final reflection on the last quarter, before we move into the rest of the year and the next quarter and month, right? I want you to just identify, make two lists. One on the left that says energizing, okay? And one on the right that says draining. And I want you to just write down, what are some things that really energized you in the first quarter? And what are some things that might have been kind of draining or just kind of sucked the life out of your battery? Okay. And especially if those things are things that you were doing. So let's just start by brainstorming the list. What energized you? What drained you as you reflect back on the first quarter? All right. So let's tackle this on the energizer list. What I want you to do is
What'd you
look over
say?
Um,
Put them every.
so on the energizing list, from that list, is there anything you want to do more of or keep the same? So kind of, and you can just highlight, oh, I'm going to keep doing that. And, or I want to do more of that. Just give a little highlight through it. Okay. And if you have something that you're highlighting, feel free to come off mute and share that. So for me, one of the things that's really energized me is having prayer or attending retreats where I'm getting space and giving myself space. So I know I want to do more of that. I want to have more quiet, peaceful time in the next quarter. So that's one of the things I'm committing to. Okay. Anybody else have something they want to share? Oh, go ahead.
I have, like, underlined, because I don't have a highlighter, I underlined everything on my energizing list.
Oh, okay. Underline everything. Okay.
But some of those things are also on my draining list.
Okay. All right. Let's walk over to the drain list next. And what I want you to do is ask yourself, which of these things can I stop doing? And cross them off if you can stop doing them.
The things on my draining list are responsibilities. So
Okay.
I can't stop doing any of them.
Okay. So the next question then is, well, first of all, I'm going to challenge you a little bit on that and say, is that true?
Well, I guess I could, but that would be counterproductive.
Okay. So again, I'm going to challenge you a little bit on that. Is there somebody else who could do it instead of you? If it's something that has to be done. So if the answer is yes, it absolutely has to be done. Right? Like, I don't know what that would be. Gotta pay my bills. Right?
No, I have Jay do that. I already passed
Okay.
that off.
Okay. See? Ooh, look, there you go.
Well,
Okay.
keeping the house clean, I could get more help with that, but that would cost more money. But
Is that true?
or it would be more effort on the side of getting the kids to help more. And that would actually be more draining.
Okay. So that's what, yes, that's the intention of doing this, right? Is there something on your list? So whether, if you can't stop doing it, first I want you to be sure that you can't stop. I mean, geez, what would happen if you stopped cleaning the house? I don't know. I haven't dusted in 6 months, just saying. So what would happen if you stopped doing it? And then is there another way to tackle if that's a negative impact? How can you tackle that? But more importantly, looking at this list of drainers, can you choose one that you want to do differently so it doesn't drain you as much, right? Is there anything that shows up there that maybe I could just try one little thing different? Does that bring anything new to light for you, Kelly?
Well, with keeping the house clean, the intention there, I don't even care about dusting. So I don't have that high of a standard. But I wrote down, if not, how can I get support? So that's kind of like the question that I was thinking about. And one of my things is social media, like marketing, and I do get some support with that from my VA. And we're looking at getting a different VA where we can get more hours so she can do more things and take even more off my plate. So there is that. And then
Yeah.
I put visibility activities. And so shifting my mindset around that would definitely help it be less of a drain on me. Because mainly it's a drain because I'm fighting with myself to do it. And then I'm beating myself up for not doing it. So
yeah, I love where you're going with that. That was going to be my next question for you and for you people to think about is, whatever's on your list. Well, why does it energize you? Why does it drain you? Because you might see some patterns there on your drain list. Maybe 5 of the 10 things you put on there that drain you are actually they all the same reason why. Because it gets up here in my head. And so now that you know that, what can you practice, Kelly, with your the fearless living when you set your intention with the practice? What do you want to practice around that? And that practicing could be a goal for you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been practicing shifting my mindset with inviting more, with doing lives. It's just when the motivation is lower or the willingness is lower, I guess, it's how do I still show up in those moments when like the emotions are low?
Yeah. So that might be I'm going to practice asking for help when it's time to mop the floor. You can get really specific for one area that you want to practice that helps you remove some of the drain from one of the items on your list.
Yeah.
And when my emotions are low, I'm going to pull a Tony Robbins move and get up and move, right? What's he say? If you jump in place, so hey, that shifts your energy, right?
If I
So I'm
did
gonna
what
do it.
you just did, I would have peed myself.
Well, put on some Depends, girlfriend. Let's go.
Do some arm circles.
Yeah, there you go. Arm circles. You can do, neck, just do this neck thing. The neck, I don't know what you would call that. Like roll your neck. That's what you call it. Any type of movement is can shift your energy. Snapping your fingers, great energy shifter because it makes noise too, and we get tuned into our senses.
Take deep
Yeah.
breaths.
Yeah, deep breaths. Open your chest, like that's a movement, right? So you're not only breathing in. Yeah, Ginger said back here, clap your hands. Ooh, come on, people, go, right?
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Yeah. There you go. Sing a song. That's an energy shift, right? All right, good stuff. Okay, so Foxy, you asked, well, what if they're on both? Right? And again, this comes back to, so what about that activity energizes you? And what about that activity drains you? And what's energizing you is serving you, and what's draining you isn't. And so the goal is to replace what's draining you with 3 times as much of what energizes you. So do you have an example? Anybody have an example of something that showed up on both sides?
I have an example. It's not like earth shattering or anything. And a preface, I only have 1 child, not 6, but I count my husband, so maybe 2 kids because he's Very childlike. I think meal planning for me, I have an energizing, but it's also draining because I was getting into the habit since I work at home. I take on other duties like, oh, I'm home, I'll make the meals, or oh, I'm home, I'll just throw a load of laundry in, and then it just gets set as habit of like everyone expects me to do everybody's laundry, or I'm making all the meals because they think that I'm not doing anything all day. But the meal planning does take some energy to plan, but it's like the benefits are like my husband has to do a meal a week and my daughter has to do a meal a week, and they can make whatever they want. And it just gives me a peace of mind that I can get to like a bar class or something and not have to worry about dinner because it's being taken care of and it's teaching good habits.
Okay, so it's energizing because why?
Energizing because it takes something off of my plate and makes me feel good. Like my daughter knows how to cook meals. She'll come up with her own little recipes, but it is draining in that it takes time. It takes me like an hour to hour and a half to like meal plan for that week and put all the activities on the board.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm also hearing a little bit of the energy is that you're doing it together. Is that true? Or there's a
Well, they probably don't think so, but and like, what night do you want to make your meal? They get to pick their night, so maybe that's together, but
Yeah, okay. All right. So what energizes you is you're teaching your daughter, you're getting support, and everybody's taking a night. Anything else energizes you?
it also gives me the time to be able to get to a bar class in the evening because I don't have to make the meal. So that gives me the time to get there right after work.
Okay. So is there anything you can do to get more of those items or have them replace your draining?
Suppose we could take turns making the meal plan. That would be a little harder because I'm like the recipe guru, but that could be something. Or we could increase the number of nights that they have to cook meals.
Yeah, yeah. How could you make it fun? How could you take that draining piece and make that fun?
Could be like finding new recipes or something and like looking at that. Like I try to walk on the treadmill at lunch and like I let myself like scroll Pinterest because then like I can't look at Pinterest unless I'm on the treadmill. And so like finding new recipes is something that I like. So I could try to incorporate like it's a new recipe and then the family can figure out whether we like it or not. And it's not on me because it's new. It's not something that I'm holding tight to.
Yeah, yeah. Or, or you might find 5 new recipes and you put them up on the board and you say, hey, husband and daughter, choose one. We're going to try it. Right?
Yeah.
And then which one would you guys want to make? Yeah, right. You start making it a game. Yeah.
You could make it surprise me night.
Oh, I like that too. I just
Yeah.
have to put some parameters, like it can't be hot dogs, like that's a bad
yeah.
surprise.
Love it. Okay, so this activity is all about pulling out how can you do more of what energizes you to either do a new task that we haven't come up with yet, or a goal that we haven't come up with yet, or to offset something that drains you and you can't not do the thing that drains you. Again, it's a deeper conversation to talk about whether or not you could really stop doing what drains you. And I'm happy to talk offline with anybody who wants to kind of go through that conversation. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. So that just gives you some nuggets of the small steps, those lead indicators that you might want to think about as you move into your plan for what's next. All right. So everybody ready to move into, all right, we just reflected back. We did that big reflection piece, which always tends to take us a little longer than we think, yet it's so important to where we're headed. All right. So now we're going to move into, all right, so we got to engage. So we just engaged a little bit with that. I gain energy doing these things. I lose energy doing these things. That's engaging you, right? It's also engaging to know that you can shift your mindset with a clap or a snap. Clap or snap or jump or head twirl, whatever it is. So use those energizing activities. You know, Foxy, like your tapping is a great re-energizer. Give yourself those 15 minutes to let it release it and bring in what you want to bring in. If you use PQ, doing your PQ reps before you start planning is a really good thing. If you're a prayer warrior, invite some prayer in right now, because we're going to start thinking about, okay, here's what I said I wanted to do for 2023. Here's where I'm at. Okay, here's what I've done so far to get there. The next question is, are those the things I still want to do? So Becky, like for you, is the financial tracking still important to you? And if so, great, put it on your 2023, I'm moving ahead with this. If what you've been working on is no longer serving you, what do you want to focus on instead? So if you think about between now and the end of the year, okay, what's important to me now? What's showing up now for the rest of my 2023? And let's just take a few minutes to write down what's most important for you as you move through the rest of 2023. Is anything new showing up for people, or where are you at with your focus for 2023? Another question. Oh, go ahead. Does somebody have something? Carol.
Yeah. Well, and what came up really big was my health, eating, sleeping, exercise, and quiet time. Those are non-negotiable at this point in my life. And the other is I'm still working out how I'm going to be serving in some capacity, whether it be my Fit to Breathe program, whether it be through Jonah, whether it be through my church, whether it be all of those. The only one that's money making would be the Fit to Breathe. So do I want to be making money? I haven't yet decided, but we're moving forward with that like I am. I'm kind of,
Yeah. Okay. So a great question is just to ask, by the end of the year, what will be different when it comes to how you're serving? Or
Right.
what would you like to see when it comes to how you're serving? It doesn't even have to be super specific, but what will what will be different about the way you're serving? What will be different about your quiet time, right? Compared to today. Anybody else have anything show up for focus for between now and the end of the year?
I do. I feel like I've lost focus. I feel like I was making a lot of updates on my GoFundMe to keep boosting it. And I was focusing on my business plan. I was working on it. And then I just feel like I kind of hit like a mental wall.
Yeah.
I just kind of stopped doing, anything related to that. I spent 4 hours writing a GoFundMe post and then it deleted before I could post it. And ever since then, I've just been like, okay, I need to take a step back. But, and then I've been like trying to pull myself out of this like lull, but haven't been able to. And I was trying to like go back to the basics. Like, I know I need to hydrate more. I can see it. I can see it in my skin. I can see it in, my organs that are radiated, they're not healthy. And I'm not moving. Like I'm working out 2 days a week, but otherwise I'm sitting constantly, you know? And what is they say that sitting for more than 8 hours a day takes 2 years off your life. Well, what if you're stuck in a wheelchair? You know, how many years am I losing? So um I just trying to go back to the basics and what's most important for me now. I think to achieve those bigger goals is I need to be healthier in general. I need to hydrate. I need to take movement breaks. I want to try and set my alarm on my phone for every 2 hours to whether it's just doing arm circles, anything to get my heart rate up. Um, Obviously continuing with the workouts, but then nourishing my body, only putting things or trying to only put things in it that are to nourish it, that are going to serve a purpose and um, keep my bladder and my bowels healthy. And then I think, you know, I can get some more focus back, but it makes me think of, I believe it was in the Atomic Habits book where I was talking about every decision you make, everything you put in your body is a vote for the future you, that you want.
Mm.
And every time you eat something unhealthy, you know, it's a vote for a different future you. Every time you eat a salad, it's a vote for the other future you. So I'm just trying to keep that in my brain.
Mhm. Yeah. And so I'm hearing kind of this, a focus for you for the rest of this year is to stay in touch with those um, those physical and healthy needs, and to because the goal, at the end of the year, what do you want to be different than today when it comes to how you're feeling in your body? Can you
I
describe that?
Yeah, I want to feel healthy and focused and hydrated and to continue with my weight loss journey and to hopefully be farther along. I don't necessarily have a goal in mind because I'm not sure what, my new body goal weight is, but and I think if I'm able to keep on track with those things, it'll help me achieve those other goals as well.
Mm. Yeah. So if you could rate where you're at right now with your overall health of your body on a scale of 1 to 10, what number would you give it?
A 4.
Okay. Yeah. And so think about how you want to feel at the end of the year. What would you like that rating to be?
10
A 10? Okay.
or 9,
Okay.
9.5, striving
Oh,
for perfection, right?
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm going to ask you, when we think about goals, right? One of the things is this idea of a SMART goal. So is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it, I use attainable, realistic, time sensitive? We also have the other version of that, which is, does it resonate? And, what's the, ours resonate, and A is actionable, I think. Um, so, if you think about that, is it realistic? So you've got a time frame. By the end of the year, I want to go from a 4 to a 9.5 on how I feel about my health. Okay, so that's time sensitive. It's specific because you've got a measurement. You can measure it, right? Is it realistic to move from a 4 to a 9.5 in 9 months? And again, there's no right or wrong. Is it realistic for Erica, given everything else that you have on your plate?
Yes. Yeah, I
Okay.
totally.
Yeah. So now you've got your goal. You've got your lag indicator. That's when all is said and done at the end of the year, I want to be able to say I'm in a 9.5. Okay. You started talking about all these lead indicators, and you got tons of them, right? I need to hydrate. I got to move my body, just do some arms, right? Brainstorm that list and then choose a couple that you're going to implement right away. Right? Those are your lead indicators. So at the end of this month, so maybe one of your goals is, I'm going to do arm circles 3 times a day, or I'm going to get my heart rate up twice a day, whatever it is, right? Then you can get your heart rate up anytime you want, any day, any way you want.
You can use your habit tracker too.
Yeah, yep. The habit tracker is a great way to do that. So just being really cautious about not trying to do it all because we're taking steps. So which 1 or 2 things do you want to focus on?
Well, I think that is already really broken down. Like the list of things that I need to improve was literally like, I don't know, 15 things. So I feel like I should be able to accomplish hydration, movement breaks, and just nourishing my body. 3 things.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. So that's your focus there. Those
And-
3 things are your focus for this next season. And your next season can be the next quarter, it can be the next month, it can be whatever your time frame is.
And also
Right.
cutting alcohol way back.
Okay. So again, I get specific on that. What is way back? How many are you doing now? How many drinks do you do now? How many will it be down to? Right. Yeah, good stuff. All right, anybody else have, so does everybody have a focus area list? Like 1 to 3 items that you're focusing on to make happen in 2023, maybe up to 5. Some of you are like, might have 18, I don't know. So does everybody have a list? See a couple? Okay. So what we're going to do is I want to go around and I want you to share your top 1 to 3 items on your list for the rest of the year. Oh, yeah. So I'm just going to go with the order that I have you guys written in my book. Beth, what are your focus areas?
They would be healing, honesty, boundaries, and freedom in my finances.
Okay.
Under the umbrella of resurrection.
Yeah. Love it. Okay. Carol, what are your top 1 to 3?
Okay, I put down having more fun, and then I clarified joy-filled, exercised, and fit. And then with that was released 35 pounds. And then gifting those with COPD, offering a 4-week program for $500 and or earning $4,000 in the rest of the year. That's my financial.
Okay.
And then be active in Jonah, environmental or social justice. I'm not sure which yet, but either or both.
Okay. Ooh. Carol. Okay. Becky, top focus areas.
Okay, so I wrote down 5 things immediately that came from looking at my energized list. And then when you said top 3, I was like, okay, let's see how I can pair these babies off and they go together. So I paired together staying consistent with visibility with getting in person. Those were 2 that I wrote down. I can see that they can go together by me focusing on being visible and in person with people that I want to be around. practice asking. I have that in big letters as my intention for this year. And then the other two that I combined were love on me and hold space to be. So being in love with me, I guess, is what that one combines to be.
Okay. Whew. Wow, you guys are going big, going big. I love it. Okay. Kelly, how about you? What are your top focus areas at this point for 2023?
Well, I have 6. So, like once Beck said she was putting some together, I was like, oh yeah, how can these be encompassed in one thing? So being more visible, inviting more and more, and keeping track of who I'm talking to, I put together in one. And then, I'm not sure what the other 2 would be because I still have 3, but, I'm thinking that, moving my body more, especially when low, needs to be one. And then, the other 2 are keeping track of expenses and then work with the kids to clean more. So, not
Okay.
sure what my third one would be, which one's more important.
Okay. So good. These are good stuff. We're going to come back to all of these. Okay. Erica, we kind of got one of yours for sure. What else? What are your top focus areas? You've got the health, physical stuff.
So health and freedom. And the freedom will come with having the van and having my own space to be able to work where I want, how I want, and in a space that's accessible to me.
Okay. Good. Good. Lori.
Maybe not as organized as everybody else, but my word of the year is still focus. And one of those focus areas was having a coaching business outside of work. Some smaller goals within that would be like continuing to pursue the PCC, and then also the not wasting what I have or using what I have. So like ICF has a bunch of continuing education. Like I'm not using any of that. PQ, I've signed up, but I'm not involved in it. I'm just wasting that. So stop wasting. And then making time for me. So making sure that I'm taking a lunch every day, which means that I can get outside and get a walk in, making time to make sure I'm not putting off going to yoga or bar classes because something else comes up.
Okay, awesome. So I want to go back to, we started with,
Hey, Nancy,
yes.
what about Ginger?
Oh, I don't have it yet. I'm just starting. She's just starting her list, so she's
Okay.
not quite ready to share. Okay. So thank you for asking. Because like, hey, Ginger. Yeah, she's there. Oh, good. Okay. So, this is a really important step, but not necessarily, it's important because it will help you narrow in on what steps you can take. It's not so important that you have it exactly right, okay? But this is the SMART goal intention. When Kara was sharing her goals, one of the things that she said is release 35 pounds, okay? So by the end of the year, Carol's going to release, first of all, she's using the word release, right? Notice that.
Before I go to Hawaii, in fact, in
Okay.
November.
Okay, so there you go. That's a specific goal. Releasing 35 pounds before I leave for Hawaii on November, blah, blah, right? And is it doable? And Carol's like, yeah, I know I can do this. And is it like realistic? Okay, so if you back that up and you say, okay, so now you've got May, June, July, August, September, October, right? That's 6 months. 35 divided by 6 is how many? Well, 5. Something. Okay. Is that doable? 5 pounds a month. Well, Carol's already lost 10 pounds. So she knows it's doable, right? Okay, so now we don't want to beat yourself up. If she gets to 34 pounds, is that great? If she gets to 22 pounds, is that great? Yeah. So it's not necessarily the specific goal, but it's the fact that she's passionate about that goal. And now she's going to take some steps to get there. Okay. So when you say things like, so let's see, visibility and like Foxy and Becky, you both had one of these, right? So visibility, intention, being intentional, interacting more, and attracting the right clients. By the end of the year, what's different? What do you want to be different with your visibility?
I want to grow my audience and my influence and have more clients.
All right. So to what?
What do you mean to what?
What do you, what's your current audience now?
Well, I mean, I have so many followers across my different social media networks, but I'm not getting very much interaction. So I don't know how many people are actually watching or actually, participating, because some people just, some people see it, but don't like it or don't comment, right? So I'm not sure on the actual audience size, but I would like more comments, more interactions going on.
Okay. Okay.
So that can turn into, a conversation between me and that person, which could turn into them coming to something, which could turn into them hiring me as their coach, right?
Yeah. 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 It's one lead indicator to get the result of, right, more clients, right? But your goal is actually to increase the engagement on your social media posts.
Yeah.
Increase it by what? 10%? Two people a month?
Like adding 2 people a month?
I don't know. I'm
I mean,
asking.
that's not really anything I could control, who interacts, but I can control how often I go live. I can control how often I personally reach out and invite. I can control how many times I post to my public page. So
Such
those are
good
things
stuff.
that I can control. I can't control if people actually interact.
Yeah. Yeah. So your goal is to increase the interaction. And then the nuggets, the tasks, the bite-sized pieces, right? The bite-sized pieces are, hey, I can post a live once a week. That's a lead indicator. You could, yeah, I can invite people to respond with a question, right? So that's where you start getting specific on, okay, so what are those things you want to do in this next month? And has anybody ever done a mind map? So, yeah, so Beth or Becky, do you guys want to describe what mind mapping is, or how would you describe it?
I would just describe it, the one I did was for a class many years ago, and I did it on a poster board and just started with, one item. I'm not super clear on how it
Yeah.
went, but then just drawing out, just different thoughts I had around that topic. And it was a class I was taking around nutrition or maybe health, and then just streaming out, and then little thoughts around those thoughts, and just getting as clear as I could out on this board around a topic.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, one of your topics, Beth, is this whole idea of, freedom and finances. So you could put freedom and
Mhm.
finances in the center, and you could go, okay, what are all the ways you can
Mhm.
create freedom and finances? And then you start to see these interesting webs and connections,
Mhm.
right? And so if I focus on this, it's going to affect these three things. I'm going to get more bang for my buck, right? You start to see the interesting connections going on. So mind mapping might be a fun thing that we can do some month in a plan on
Yeah.
purpose. Take one thing. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is just get a little more specific. And by the end of 2023, what are you shooting for? Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to kind of know a little bit more specifically. So if your focus area is healing, what do you want to be different at the end of 2023 when it comes to your healing? And you can do this like we did with Erica, which is, hey, how do you rate it now? And what do you want your new rating to be? And it can kind of be a gut feel, right? Or you can do it by, something more specific that is, so for me, um, I'm trying to think of, it's like one of my things is, space for myself. So by the end of the year, what am I looking for is to have a closer connection to my heart center, right? Here's where I'm at right now with what my heart center is. And by the end of the year, I want to be able to be more specific in how I articulate my heart center. So my goal is to be able to articulate my heart center that has meaning to me. Okay. So that is like one of the goals I have. It could be more specific, like Carol's. It's like she's gonna know. Did I lose 35 pounds or not lose 35 pounds? Oh wait, did I release 35 pounds? Did I release 20? Ooh, I'm in a healthier situation. Erica, do I look more hydrated today? Is my skin feeling better? Wow. That's a measurement. That's a measurement. Good stuff. Okay. So I'm going to encourage you to get a little more specific on, well, by the end of the year, what's different with one of your top 3 areas. Okay. So let's just take a little time to choose one thing. Thanks, Carol. Good to see you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
So I want you to take one of your topics and write yourself a SMART goal. By the end of 2023, what's going to be different and how you're going to measure it. And whoever's ready to share, we'll just kind of do a round robin. We'll take one and get your specific outcome that you're shooting for. Again, you might not end there, but what's your focus and your goal? Okay. All right. Anybody have one they want to share?
All right, so we're going for the year. Okay, so I'm focusing on the staying consistent with visibility and getting in person, but specifically I wrote the intention around building my email list to 1,000 subscribers. And I have a list started, but I love that you reminded me of the mind mapping. There's actually, I think there's a website, even mindmapping.com, that you can easily go and do that online as well. To get the ideas of how I will have the engagement, for building the email list to build the consistency of me showing up in people's virtual world so that they're getting on the list to continue engagement versus social media. I'm focused on email marketing.
Okay, awesome. So bringing in
So
the
1,000 is my measurable piece.
Good. And that resonates with you, and
I just kind of threw that number in there, so we'll see about the number, but
yeah, I mean, you could always change the number, and this is part of like the quarterly planning that we do. Like,
yeah,
in quarter, does that still make sense, or is it something different, right? So we're always checking in, because what we know today is different than what we're going to know in 3 months. All right, who else would like to share their specific goals?
I'll go.
Thanks, Erica.
By the end of 2023, I will have my van. I can measure it by physically seeing it or driving it, and if not yet driving it, at least have it purchased, because I'm not sure how long it will take to get it modified, but the goal is to purchase the van by the end of the year.
Love it. Okay. Good, good. All right. Let's see. Lori.
It's not a very smarty, but one would be the making time for me. So if you were going to challenge me, it would probably be like a percentage that I could do of scaling it from whatever I feel now to what I want it to be. Leading measures or leading indicators into that would be like consistently working out. So like maintaining my 5 days a week working out, maintaining getting a lunch, AKA walk, at least 4 days a week at work, increasing time with friends. So putting some measure there. So lots of little leading indicators to get to the lagging indicator.
Okay. Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 10 right now, how satisfied are you with your percentage of me time?
Probably not as satisfied because I got a puppy, and so that kind of rocked my world. So I know that I'll get back to that. Probably like a 4 right now on a scale. Definitely would want that to be like a 9 on a scale.
Yeah. And the bottom line is that once you have that focus, right, and you keep that focus in front of you, and your word of the year was focus, right? So you're focusing on a couple of key things. The more you, and I would really encourage you with that focus, like what's a good when you think of focus, what comes to mind for you? Like a camera being in focus, a target in the bullseye, you know, if there's any image, and like just put your focus areas right in the center. That's what I want. That's what I see, right? I have that nice visual to support you. And then you're always coming back to that. So every month when you're planning, you're saying, hey, what am I doing to help me get that me time?
I like that. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Let's see. Who else do we have? Kelly. Oh, we did yours. No, we didn't do yours. Not the specific one.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if I'm writing it down right because I put in goals. So like if I do this, like what I'm hoping I'll have achieved.
Yeah.
So is that what we're doing or?
Yeah. So like one of yours, well, which one did you choose to work on?
Oh, I put all three.
Okay.
But for the first one, I said more interaction on social media, which will turn into conversations, which leads to clients.
Okay. So when you say more interaction, how much more?
I mean, I'd be happy with any more, but
Do you know how much you have now?
like I couldn't give you a number, but it's also, I mean, if I do a post, like some of my posts get great interaction. They're not necessarily my coaching posts, right?
Yeah.
Like I posted that mom and I are the MCs for celebration. That has gotten a lot of interaction. I posted I went to a tea party. That has gotten good interaction. I post about, you know, but like I posted a memory about my kids. That got some interaction, but not very much.
Mm-hmm.
Or yesterday I posted about speaking at my polka dot meeting this month, and that got very little response.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's you know, it's like back and forth. Or like when I post about the podcast, I get very little response.
Mm-hmm.
So so it'd be just like, I guess, more consistency on my coaching posts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you know the numbers, it's kind of like the what energizes you and what drains you, right? What social media pieces are getting more interaction, do more of that, right? If interaction is what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it can just be, you know, the goal can be, you know, you could figure out what your baseline number is and say, I'm going to increase interaction from, you know, 5 to 10 a month. Or
Yeah. I mean, Facebook tells you like, oh, your visibility has increased this amount, you know, keep doing this or whatever.
Yeah.
So my visibility has definitely increased. I think it's increased like 92% or something like that the last time. But just because I'm posting more on my public page, because I consistently post in my groups. But I get little interaction there as well. But so I guess it's more of like interaction in my groups is where I'm wanting the interaction, because that's where I'm gonna get most likely that's where I'm gonna get a client, because they're in my group, so they're following me.
yeah. Okay. Becky P, the connection strategist, has raised her hand.
Yeah, Kel, can I offer a suggestion?
Yeah.
So with engagement and knowing that you're consistent and scheduling out your posts and all of that, like you're putting out things. Have you considered, you know, maybe looking at a class on how to build more engaging content, or what's working for engagement on social media right now, or with the information of what Facebook or wherever you want to post gives you about which ones are getting seen more. How can you take the information that you have and the resources and also practice how to give better call to actions, or that invites people to engage more on the content that you're choosing to share. Because if it's engagement, like you said, we can't control when people do, but we can be more engaging with the content that we're building and make it more, I don't know, interactive than what we are. So that might be something to look into, of how you could build that in your consistency. Is maybe it's finding a class about building better engagement and how to be more inviting for people to take action on the post versus just something they look at and read, because maybe it comes across and they look at it, but there isn't a strong enough call to action to comment or like and follow it, or whatever that might be.
Yeah. Well, I've made a commitment to not take any more paid classes, but
So look
that
for free
doesn't
ones.
mean, that doesn't mean that I can't find free ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where the mind mapping comes in, right? Because we can go to, what are all the ways I can get more engaging posts? Well, I can learn to write different. I can ask professional opinions. Have coffee with an expert, free. So that's good stuff. All right, Sister B, we haven't heard from you yet. Any specific goal from your 4 topics?
No, I'm not specific yet.
Okay, yeah. And so one of the things we could do if we're having a hard time with specific is just ask, well, what about this topic is important to me? And why do I want, more of that, whatever it is? So, why do I want more healing? What about honesty would be different?
Yeah, I got a lot of little nuggets. So I think the mind mapping would be, that's a great remembrance of a tool to use. So I think I'm going to play around with that a little bit, because it all blends together. And then I was also looking back at what I was saying last month and the first month. So they all tie together, but
Yeah.
I'd like to get specific on the tying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the good news is even if we're not quite specific yet, that doesn't mean we can't move forward, right?
Mhm.
So, because our next step is to kind of take, so now you take this, okay, that's where I'm headed for the end of the year. And we're going to kind of skip a step, which is chunk it up into the next quarter. We kind of did that a little bit with like Carol's releasing of her weight, right? Just for sake of time, you could back into it. So, like Erica and your van, if you're going to have the van purchased, you need how much money? How much money do you have now? Well, we chunk it up to, okay, so by the end of June, how much money do you want to have? Right? And then, okay, so we're going to skip that step of the quarter. We're just going to say, what do you want to commit to in the next month to help you take a step towards one of your goals or a combination of your goals? What's an action you want to take? And so Beth, like even like what you were just saying with, I'm going to commit to mind mapping.
Mhm. Yeah, I was just thinking that yeah, Yes, I was just thinking that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could ask yourself that question, what step do I want to take in the next month? And you can do that for each of your goals. And then you can say, okay, is all, then you come back to, is that all realistic? Can I pull one or two to get started and save the others for next month when we plan? I think last time we talked about having that parking list. So here's all the things, right? And Erica, that's kind of like your 15 things, I'm pulling these 3 or 4 off, and the rest is going to stay over there in the parking lot. And maybe I'm even going to cover them up with a tarp so I don't have to look at them and, remember that I got all these other things I can do too, right? Because that's what gets us off track, is losing our focus, which is what, Lori did a really good job at narrowing in on really 2 things she's focusing on for this year.
Yeah, I'm committing to doing the mind mapping specifically for like the topics that I'm going to be focused on for teaching and sharing on platforms that will build the consistency with sending out emails that have value for the topics that I am passionate about sharing, that I'm going to do mind mapping specifically for how to build out my content that I'm excited to share, that comes from the heart, and that will easily bring my subscribers to me by attraction.
Ah, yeah, and that's that affirmation that goes along with your goal and your tasks. What we tell ourselves is true, so we also have this affirmation. Yeah. So, okay, yes, mind mapping. I think it is just mindmap.com. So here's what I'm going to suggest, since mind mapping has come up, and you guys were all members. Ginger, I can help you with your mind mapping. But I wonder, Becky, if we could choose a couple of different action hours that we could put out there, and people could come with a first draft of their mind map, because if they do it online, you can save it, and then they could talk through it, and we can help them get some more ideas out there, and then see what patterns we can find. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. And so if you are interested in getting support of a mind map, maybe just send Becky and I a Facebook message, and then we could get a couple of times set up. We'll see how many we might need, because I think it'll take probably at least 20 minutes for each of them, so we could probably do 2 in an action hour.
I request that we do them after 8 a.m. Pacific.
Amen. We hear you. We'll do at least one. We can even do one during one of your hours, Foxy. How's that? All right. So there, we already have part of our next step built in. So I was going to ask you is, when you look at, okay, first of all, I would like everybody to share one commitment you're making. So we've got a couple people who have said mind map, and then I'm going to encourage, if your answer is mind mapping, I would also like you to say one other step that you're thinking you're going to take that actually is towards your goal, because the mind mapping is going to help you do that. But is there another step showing up right now before you do the mind mapping that you're just going to get started on? So Foxy, since you already said mind mapping, is there any other step you're wanting to take?
I'm going to look and ask for support on making my posts more engaging.
Oh, love it. Okay. All right. Becky, how about you?
I was thinking that it is scheduling and creating the space for expanding on the content ideas that I map out.
Ah, okay.
So maybe it's picking one of my action hours every week that is now my content hour.
Okay. Good. So you're going to try give that a whirl, see how it works for you. Just real quick, where did you end up on your financial tracking piece? Is that something you're keeping or ditching?
It did not stay on my list.
Okay. All right. So good. So I encourage you to just, is that out of fear that you're like avoiding it, or is it really something that's not as important to you based on what is more important to you?
So something that I've learned over the last like 5 months for me in some classes was thinking about toward and away goals. Like, am I saying I want to do this because I want to move away from something? Or am I putting this as a goal and intention because I want to move toward what I desire? And the financial piece is coming up as I want to look at it because I want to stay away from lack, which in return makes me think about lack. So I'm choosing to look at the pieces that excite me, that I'm moving toward what I want, because when I focus on those things and give my energy to those versus the opposite, we get more of that. So I'm choosing to see that I was looking at it from, I want to look at it so that I can move away from it. And I'm shifting that to what I want to actually move toward.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. Conscious choice then. All right. So we've got Foxy's and Becky's steps. Sister B, did you have a step you wanted to share?
Well, I guess mind mapping would be my step, but as I'm looking at the first things that we listed, like between 3 and 5, they all kind of center down to the same pinpoint. So although they're different things, they come down to the same essence, I guess I would say. So I have a pinpoint to start my mind mapping, and yeah, so I guess that would be my next step.
Okay.
And just seeing what all unfolds out of that, because for me, I've learned that I don't want to put limitations on what I want by the end of the year. What I want is just to get closer to my own truth and living that way, and then radiating out the impact. So I don't want to put limitations on, and I think that's one thing that I keep bumping up against is getting super specific, because I don't know. I want to live in flow and the unfolding, and I don't want to limit myself. If I'm doing the work, then it will
Yeah.
unfold just like it's supposed to.
And so, like, what I really hear that, and whether you call it a goal or an objective or a lifestyle or whatever, is that, your intent is to live in the unfolding.
My intent
And
is to live in the unfolding,
yeah.
whatever that may be. And
Yep.
yeah. So that goes with my
Yeah.
finances, that goes with healing and boundaries and truth, is feeling it all, being in it all, letting it flow through. Course correcting, aligning.
Good. Good. All right. Let's see. who else do we need? Erica, do you have your goal of the van? I can't remember if we talked about a next step
Oh.
for you.
I did, and then Becky threw me for a loop. Um, it was to make 2 updates to my GoFundMe, and the updates forced me to think about all the negative experiences, you know, because I feel like that's what people need to hear or see in order to donate, you know. And I think every time I do, you know, post a story about things that I've gone through or the lack that I have because of I don't have this van. And I think that's why it's hard for me to do it, because it's hard to sit in that space and think about all these negative things and put words in, you know, onto paper or onto the internet for people to read. So I also have to make a vision board for my business, which I just sent like 120 pictures to Walgreens to print out for my vision board for my my business. And I did create one for my van, but it's just on Canva. And I think I would like to try to make an actual physical one that I can have here rather than just see this tiny little picture on my phone, you know? So that is a way to focus on seeing the future, seeing the good rather than focusing on the lack. And then I also want to design and print some flyers to carry around in my purse, because there's people who are like, I'll run into people randomly, you know, it's like kind of having a business card. Should always have your business cards on you, you know, and trying to raise these funds, and people are like, oh, well, how do I donate? And if I had these flyers, I could just hand them out. I could, you know, send them to family members and say, hey, here's 5. Can you, or here's 3, can you think of any place like your church or your local grocery store where there's a bulletin board and you can hang them up? And in those flyers, you know, I can design it with a picture of the van and me in the van rather than, you know, oh, Erica can't drive, you know, trying to figure out how to focus on the good. But I also feel like I need to share the negative. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Me for a loop.
I have a few thoughts for you on that. Let's connect offline. Something's really showing up for me. So I'd love to just share what that is, just for sake of time. So, oh, such good stuff. Okay, let's see. Who else do we need to get a specific on yet?
I can go quick.
Yeah. Thanks, Lori.
For my action for next month, then, like I've talked about the PCC or not wasting. So creating a continuing education log is one that'll force me to see everything that's on like ICF, or even like it's coaching week in May. Not that there'll be continuing education hours in May, but those are free things to me that I'm wasting by not using my ICF. And then having a coaching hours log, like getting a handle on how many I have left to go, and a mind map.
Yeah, all right, good stuff. Okay. Did everybody go with their next step? So, and mine is I'm going to have a private quiet retreat at the farmhouse for myself. So that's the next step. And attending the writer's retreat are my 2 big things for April. Okay. So what I would like you to do is I want to start encouraging this accountability, right? So we have the On Purpose with Purpose Facebook group. I'm going to encourage you to go write down those steps that you're committing to for April. So whether it's 1 or 3 or 5 or whatever we had. So, you know, most of us said mind mapping. So we're going to commit to doing a mind map for a goal, right? We're going to commit to whatever it is. Lori's creating that CE log. I'm going to the writer's retreat, and I'm also going to have an intention set for that with a specific takeaway. So put those in the Facebook community, and then I'm going to encourage you to ask or bring to any of your action hours, share, like in the celebration, where are you at with things, any steps that you're taking, or ask for any support you need, right? This is like what I call your accountability buddy. Let's use the On Purpose with Purpose group as our accountability buddy. And if you would prefer to have just one accountability buddy partner that you want to touch base with, reach out to somebody in the group and see if they're willing to do that offline with you. Okay. And just be really clear on what it is you're working towards and how they can support you. And then next month, we're going to start with all those wins that we're checking from our celebrations from Action Hour and progress you made on your key commitments. And then we'll dive into commitments you want to make for the next month. Yay. All right, so we are at 10:57. I went a little bit over, but I would love to hear how these 2 hours of planning went for you, and if there's any takeaway you would like to share from your time.
I have 2 questions. Are you going to do mind mapping as a group, or everybody is doing that individually, the ones that set that goal?
So I think we're going to try to set some action hours where people can stay on and do mind mapping.
Okay.
So we'll try to do 2 in a session. So we'll allow for 20 minutes each. So if all of us want to do one, then we'll have 3 action hours.
Okay, I'm curious what that is, so let me know. And
Okay.
then about the going on the Facebook page and sharing it, should Becky like create like a post and then we all comment on it so it's all in one spot, or should we all just go on and individually say our goals?
Yeah, that was my thought too, is that I can go make a post in there and we can keep it there so we can all see who really does want the accountability and keep it in one place.
Great, because then you can tag us all too, so we see that. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Great questions. Thanks, Erica. Get those logistics for us. I love it. All right. Okay. We have 1 minute before Miss Alana takes over. So anybody have something that you're just burning to say about your planning time? Don't all jump at once. This is great. Thanks, Lori. Okay. All right.
I would just like to say thank you. And I really enjoy taking this planned time each month to just feel the stirs around planning and doing it on purpose. So thank you. And thank you everybody for showing up and sharing.
Ditto.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. That vulnerability came into play today. So way to go. Thanks. We started with that and we're in a good place to move on, hand things over